this pattern that I see quite regularly with us practitioners, definitely with myself. That's one I've had to confront it in myself more than once, I'm going to be honest. And this is the habit of overgiving, giving more time, more energy, more emotional bandwidth than we can actually healthily and realistically sustain. And here is the thing. Most of the time, it doesn't even feel like a problem when we're doing it in the moment. In fact, it can feel like proof of our commitment and our devotion to the work, and even our spiritual integrity. We will tell ourselves that, this is what service looks like. This is what it means to care deeply for others. But the truth is, constant overgiving slowly drains and erodes us. Okay, it blurs our boundaries, it pushes us into exhaustion and definitely into burnout. And sometimes it leaves us, quietly resentful of our clients and our work. And when that happens, the quality of our work suffers. No matter how much we love the people we're working with, it's going to affect the quality of those relationships. Now, overgiving shows up in different ways for different practitioners. You may find yourself staying long after a session. Here's one I'm guilty of. Oh, goodness, hour-long reading. Let's go for 2 hours, no problem, no extra charge. Even when you're running on empty. You may check in on clients late at night or on your days off, or when you don't need to be checking in on them anyway because you can't bear the idea of them feeling unsupported in their process. You may give more concessions than you can actually afford to give. Discounted rates, free sessions, extra follow-ups, and do it so often that it becomes the norm. You expect it, your clients expect it. It's just a part of who you are and the work that you do. Sometimes overgiving is about the immediate moments. You're in a session, someone is really struggling, and you pour everything you have into trying to help them find some kind of relief or some kind of fix or comfort. But other times it's more systemic. It's about the way you've set up your practice, your boundaries, and even your identity as a practitioner. When we peek around underneath it, usually overgiving comes from a mix of fear and conditioning. There is the fear of disappointing people, of letting them down, making them feel like we're not available enough, the fear that if we don't give everything, people don't think we don't care enough about them. Sometimes it's about proving our worth to ourselves, to our clients, or even to some weird, obscure, invisible standard that we've internalized for ourselves over the years and the work that we've done. And then there's this old belief, old, very outdated belief, that to be a good practitioner, a good healer, a fabulous guide, we have to sacrifice ourselves in the process. And the gigantic problem is that this is not sustainable and it's not healthy, because our work depends on us being present, on being grounded, well resourced. And you can't be any of those things if you are constantly running at a deficit. If you're running on empty, eventually the well that you draw from is going to run dry. Your cup is not going to runneth over. Your cup is going to be empty, and it takes a long time to refill it because now you're at burnout. And this is where the yogic principle of Brahmacharya becomes pretty handy, actually. So traditionally, Brahmacharya is often translated as moderation, or wise use of energy. In its broader sense, it's about living in a way that conserves your life force, your chi, your prana, and directs it towards what matters most. And that's exactly what's needed when overgiving has become your default. When we practice Brahmacharya in our work, we stop seeing giving less as being selfish and Instead, we start seeing giving wisely as an act of care for ourselves, for our clients, and for the work itself. Because when we give beyond our capacity, what we offer isn't clean, it isn't whole, it isn't complete. It's tinged with depletion, with strain, sometimes with frustration and resentment, and the unspoken hope that our giving will be acknowledged or repaid. Sense of worth is inherited in this. And that's not generosity, that is martyrdom, and we should not be martyrs as practitioners. So practicing Brahmacharya as a practitioner starts with pausing before you give, okay? It's asking yourself, do I have the energy to give this right now without any cost to myself? Is this mine to give, or am I overstepping what's mine to hold? It's also about noticing the impulse to say yes before you've even considered what that yes will actually cost you. That pause creates space for choice instead of compulsion. Okay, puts power back in your court. It might look like holding your session to you're sticking to your session times even when a client wants to keep going, because you have 3 more clients that day to get to, and they deserve your full presence as well. It may look like setting clearer, safer, healthier boundaries around follow-up communication, so you're not consistently on call 24/7. It might even look like giving yourself permission to have days in your schedule that are fully yours, not admin days, not catch-up days, not social media days, just you days. Okay, Brahmacharya isn't about pulling away from your clients or giving the bare minimum. So it's like, well, you can really have a smidge of me today. It's about giving in a way that's sustainable, that's realistic, that's clean, that's clear, and that's intentional. It's about recognizing that your energy is finite. It's a finite resource, and your work depends on you protecting it. When you give from a place of wholeness, your clients feel the difference. They feel the very big difference. The space you hold is way deeper, it's way more intentional, it's steadier, it's safer, because it's not coming at the expense of your well-being. Okay, it's coming from a place of infinite resource. When you start to integrate Brahmacharya into your practice, you also start to see where overgiving has been masking other things, because it does happen. Sometimes it's hiding a lack of trust in yourself, in your client's process, in your abilities, in your work itself. Sometimes it's hiding the belief that you're only valuable when you're doing something for someone else. Seeing those patterns is part of the work, all right? The shift from overgiving to wise giving is one of the most powerful changes you can make in your practice. It doesn't just protect you from burnout, it deepens your capacity to actually be present and far more well resourced for your clients. And presence is worth far more than extra hours, endless follow-ups, and constantly pushing past your limits. If you are feeling drained and you're exhausted and burnt out, like you're stretched thin, or like you're giving more than you can actually afford energetically, emotionally, financially, physically, it might be time to start practicing Brahmacharya, wise use of energy, not as a restriction, but as a form of self-care. Care for yourself, care for the people that you work with, and care for the work itself that you're doing. Because when you are sustained, you can sustain others, you can sustain your work. And that's the kind of giving that lasts. Okay, that's the kind of giving that's impactful. This is something that I do explore in my mentoring sessions with you as a practitioner. We work on things like how to protect your energy without, shutting yourself down, you shutting down the hot space and be like, no, you can't have this, how to fully give without losing yourself in the process. So if this speaks to you, you'll find a link to my mentoring in the description. Absolutely reach out and let's help you develop the skill of and the practice of Brahmacharya, to help you find that space of healthy wise giving.